Welcome back, friends. It is ACP Masterclass, and we're taking a look at our next section. This is form working agreements to optimize collaboration. So the bullets here, it says, establish stakeholder relationships, form a working agreement among key stakeholders, and the purpose is to promote participation and effective collaboration. So again, it's part of this nebulous, all right, how do I do that, Roy? Help us.
Yeah, so this is actually very similar to what we do with a team. We want to form agreements so that we know how to work together. And it sounds like a simple thing, but the problem is if you don't do it, then how do you know how to work together, right? You got to build that relationship and it takes longer. The idea with an agreement is two things. First, it helps you come to an understanding of each other faster, and you can use it to refer back to when people aren't meeting that agreement. So the purpose is to make sure that we understand each other, that we know how to communicate. Little things like, how do you like to communicate? Do you like using tools? Do you prefer a phone call? Is morning better for you? Afternoon better for you? What ways do you like to communicate? What information do you like to see? So all of these things are really important to understand, that we have good, solid collaboration, meet our stakeholders where they are, understand their needs, and communicate with them on their level. All right, Phil?
Gotcha. So this is something that just should happen naturally. You should have the presence of mind to work it, you know. And as far as the teams, we often talk about the Scrum Master being a diversion shield. So where's the balance in being a diversion shield versus promoting, participation and collaboration?
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we allow change to happen, but it's not change chaos, right? We don't want to divert away from the purpose, the mission, the vision that we're trying to achieve. It's not one day you're building a skateboard and the next day it's a rocket. It's just not a good idea, right? So you want to make sure the product owner needs to have that clarity of that vision and keeps the stakeholders, let's say, without trying to be negative about it, try to keep the stakeholders in alignment with the vision, right? And that's a very positive thing. Let's face it, often stakeholders have the view that if I don't ask for something now, I'm never going to get it. And that is not the way Agile works. They can have anything they want, anytime they want it, but they have got to work in accordance with the process in order to achieve it in an effective way without causing harm to the team. And the product owner helps with that process. Keep people in alignment with the vision. Sometimes that might change over time, but it shouldn't be dramatic change, right, Phil?
Gotcha, Roy. All right, let's talk about something that you mentioned. So we talk about agreements and stuff like that, and most people just think about charters where stakeholders are concerned, but it's very possible in our association with stakeholders to also refer to what we call a team charter, right?
Yep, absolutely. Charters are important. Team charters, team agreements, lots of different names for them, right? Charters, contracts, all these kinds of things. They're basically the same kind of thing, right? So it's a set of principles, practices, way of working, right, with another group of party. And that could be with our stakeholders. It could be within the team. It's very important to have it within the team. And that'll include things like something very important, which is the cadence calendar. And the cadence calendar is, these are all of our meetings. This is when they're going to happen. These are the time zone, considerations that we put into it, the purpose of each meeting, when we're going to have the meeting on a regular occurring basis. Now, here's something that's very different between Agile and Waterfall. Waterfall, we typically build project meetings and we go to those project meetings. Agile, we build Agile meetings and we bring the project work to those meetings. So a team has a consistent, regular cadence of meetings, and whatever project they happen to be working on, we talk about the project in that regular cadence of meetings, which means less meetings, right? That's really the intent. So we have a nice, simple cadence of meetings and we bring people to us rather than going to them, right? Setting up your ground rules, how you're going to work with each other, respect, encourage, and build. The whole purpose of all of this stuff, we can go through each one if we wanted to, right? Our whole purpose of this, make sure we understand each other, how we're going to work together. So when problems do happen, and problems always happen, we have a way, something to go back to say, look, we all agreed to this. What do we think about this?
Thank you, Roy. All right. So with that said, let's jump into a very easy softball one. And there it is. And launch the poll. There's your poll coming.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a fun one too. All right. 3, 2, and 1. All right. This is where we will rely on our friend Roy to walk us through the line of best fit. So, Roy, what should we do in approaching something like this?
Yeah, so here again, good little process of elimination, right? So let's start out with D. Let's start with D, the sprint. So this really isn't something that the stakeholders would own, is it? So who would own the sprint? Phil, what are your thoughts? Who owns the sprint?
Everyone.
Everyone, technically, yes, right? Absolutely. Not primarily the stakeholders, primarily the ownership is the team, right?
Yeah.
The release, let's talk about the release. Stakeholders don't technically own that as well. That's more, you're starting to get closer, to the stakeholders. Think about it this way, from a planning perspective, stakeholders are at the top levels and the team is at the lower levels, right? So as you progress in each direction, there's more accountability in the opposite side, or more ownership in the opposite side. So release planning is owned primarily by the team, partly by the stakeholders, but mostly by the team. The roadmap, now the roadmap is owned by our stakeholders, right? Now we'll come back to that in a minute. Then there's the vision. The vision is also owned by our stakeholders. So we have a little bit of a choice here, right? So the vision and the roadmap are both owned by the stakeholders. The vision is pretty much completely owned by the stakeholders. That is all theirs, right? So a little less collaboration. That kind of leaves us with the roadmap. It's a collaborative approach to build a schedule owned by the stakeholders. What do you think, Phil? Which one do you think?
Yeah, Roy, this
I
question
was totally guessing.
This question is something else. It's featured in some of our other classes, and I usually avoid it because I know people typically would get it wrong because they don't know that the hierarchy, like you've explained, is like boiling hot to cold, right? And it's not the top one, even though that is owned by them. But think about it, collaborative. You ain't collaborating with anyone in the development team, when it comes to vision. This is what I want, and I know I want it. So I don't need collaboration for that. But as far as how to get there, when you get to that roadmap level, now we're beginning to talk.
You got it.
It's a tough one. All right. So did I share? I didn't share the results for that reason because I wanted
It's okay.
everyone.
We got a couple of answers there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, let's stop that and let's go into a next easy one. This is an easy one. Here we go. Let's relaunch. Oops, relaunch. All right. I'm sorry if you don't see the buttons for the voting. Jay, you can send Roy a chat and just let him know what the answer you're thinking is. All right. Thank you.
You should be able to get this one. This is an easy one. No pressure though, right, Phil?
None at all. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So far, we've got some responses there. Thank you, Celeste, for that as well. And there we go. So pretty much slam dunk for everyone who voted. It is true. We're not going to kill people if they don't conform to the roadmap.
That's correct. It's
all
a
right.
plan.
It's a plan. That's it. Okay. Well, we're done with that. Let's move on to our next task.